We are here in Spain, and Agile gets a drive-through penalty, but it's lights out, and away we go. Evans in the lead. You can see the Alfa Romeo driver of Gerald Crisp going off the track. Levi goes into the lead. Evan down into second. You can see Tony JD going up to fifth. Ollie into sixth. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. Dom gets a 5-second time penalty, and there's been a collision between Lugner and Agile and Sizzling H. But Levi, the Alpine driver, has taken the lead of this race. Evans in second, followed by his teammate Harry Sanchez. Tony JD's in P4, AJP's in 5th, then Ollie, then Blazer, Jack, Sizzling H, GRL Crisps in 10th, Dom is in 11th, LJ in 12th, Lugner in 13th, and Agile is in 14th with a drive-through penalty. Levi then leads the drivers down here into sector 3. You can see Evan now trying to go around the outside. Can he make it stick? Evan goes the long way around. Levi holds the inside line. Who's going to come out on top? It's Levi, just about. Evan now sends it down the inside. Both drivers are very close. Evan has the lead. Levi now goes round the outside and reclaims the lead. You can see Harry Sanchez gaining on them too as well. But Levi just about defends his lead. Evan almost taking the lead of this race, as Levi now will come across the line to complete lap 1. Gets the fastest lap of 1:37.6. Levi still leads this race. AJP now in 5th. Oh, and he's got some oversteer in these wet conditions, and he's gone onto the grass. Ollie, Sizzling H, Blazer and GRL Crisp all get the overtake on the McLaren driver. AJP goes from 5th all the way down into P9, and now he's got the Alpine driver of Jack just behind him. So we go on board then with Agile. Has served his drive-through penalty, currently in P14, as Dom just ahead of him, as Levi gets the fastest lap again of 1:32.8. Can Agile get into the points this race as he goes slightly wide here on lap 3? GRL Crisp then gaining on his teammate, currently in P7, has Sizzling H just ahead of him in P6, his teammate, but he's gaining significantly then on the Alfa Romeo just ahead of him. Team orders might come into play here in Spain in a few laps time. As Levi gets the fastest lap of 1:32.6, as you can see the two Alfa Romeo drivers here on lap 4 are getting closer and closer. GRL Crisp really putting his foot down here in these wet conditions. As we go on board with Ollie, has the Williams driver of Totally JD in 4th. Totally JD having a good race today. Ollie will be trying to hunt him down as there's a yellow flag in sector 1. That's AJP falling down into P10, the McLaren driver. But Ollie still has Totally JD in his sights. So we go on board then with Gerald Crisp, gets the move done on his teammate and puts himself up into P6. Sizzling H down into P7. Gerald Crisp, the faster car out of the two Alfa Romeos, and that's going to see him up into P6. Harry Sanchez is just ahead of them both, and you can see the Alfa Romeo drivers are slightly gaining on both drivers as Evan now gets the fastest lap of 1:32.5. Ollie finds himself 1.3 seconds behind Totally JD. So we go back on board for the battle for first. Levi is 0.4 seconds ahead of the Red Bull driver of Evan. Both drivers are on the wet compound of tyre here on lap 5. But Evan is staying within distance of Levi, and hopefully will continue to put the pressure on first place. But it's Levi who still leads this race. Lugner now is under pressure from AJP, the McLaren driver, just behind the Mercedes driver. You can see Blazer just ahead of them as well, as there's a yellow flag in sector 1 and in sector 2. So we go on board then with AJP currently in P10. You can see he's got Lugner and Blazer just ahead of him. The battle for 8th has started here on lap 6. And AJP now has gone onto the grass and has had a spin here in sector 1 on lap 6. And that's going to see Jack now overtake AJP into the points. The Alpine driver, AJP, goes down into P11. Totally JD leads the battle for P4. He's got Ollie just behind him, as well as GRL Crisp in the Alfa Romeo. but it's the Williams driver who leads these cars down as Giro Crisp sends one down the inside of Ollie and gets the move done as we get the onboard now with Giro Crisp. Gets the move done on Ollie, puts his car up into P6, but Ollie won't give up and might start to attack back. As you can see, it's just behind the Alfa Romeo driver. Tony JD will be next for Giro Crisp. Can Tony JD stay in P4 and defend his position? There's 3 cars battling away for P4. Giro Crisp might send one down the inside, and he does, and he gets the move done on the Williams driver of Tony JD. Giro Crisp now moves himself up into P4, and Tony JD goes down into P5. As we get the onboard then, with Ollie's going to send one down the inside of Tony JD. He almost makes the move stick. Tony JD has to go wide, and Ollie is side by side with the Williams driver. Gets the overtake, sends it down the inside again, round the next corner. Has he made the move? Tony JD is down on the inside. It's close between the 2 drivers, battling for P5. Tony JD goes down the inside again. Ollie gets forced round the outside, and Ollie, the Mercedes driver, gets the move done. You can see in the distance it's Sizzling Harvey as Tony JD now sends one down the inside as well. The 2 drivers getting so close. It's great driving between the Mercedes driver and the Williams driver of Tony JD as Sizzling Harvey's now in for the mix. Ollie now just about stays into P5. Tony JD is in P6 and Sizzling H is in P7. And Jack and Lungner are neck and neck. Who's going to come out on top as they go down to turn 1? Lungner hugs the inside line. Jack now hugs the inside line, and they're very close. Lungner's just about ahead as Jack fights for this P9 position. But Lungner defends and just about stays ahead. He might have to defend again as Jack continues to put pressure on the Mercedes driver. You can see Blazer just ahead. AJP gets the fastest lap of this race, a 1:31.1 on the intermediate tyres. The rest of the drivers are on wets, so the intermediate tyres are the faster tyre as of right now in this race. So we get the onboard then with Jack. I sent one down the inside, he does, but he's going to take it too far onto the gravel. He did get the move done, but Lungner reclaims his position of P9, and Jack goes back down into P10, but he's going to lose some time after sending it down the inside of Lungner here on lap 10. 7 laps to go. Lungner then is going into the pits, and I wonder if he has seen the fact that AJP got the fastest lap on intermediate tyres. Lungner comes in then, puts the intermediate tyres on. Everybody else is on the wet compound of tyre, but Lungner has put on the intermediate tyres. AJP sets the fastest lap again, a 1:30.6 again on the intermediate tyres. Levi and Evan, the 2 leaders of this race, are coming into the pits here on lap 11, and they're going to be putting on the intermediate tyres, which AJP and Lungner have already done. So the rest of the drivers, as you can see, are all coming in here on lap 11 to change from wet tyres to intermediate tyres, as Levi comes out of the pits still in first, and Evan also coming out of the pits still in second. We go on board with Blazer. AJP now comes out of nowhere, sends it down the inside and makes the move and goes up into the points into P10. Blazer goes down into P11. Blazer might be one of the only drivers then who hasn't pitted onto the intermediate tyres, but AJP certainly has. As you can see, yep, Blazer on the wet compound of tyres, opted to stay out, and it hasn't paid off. Blazer now under pressure from the AlphaTauri driver of LJ, who hasn't really been in this race at all today. As you can see, Agile getting lapped as Blazer goes onto the gravel and off of the track, and LJ gets the move done up into P11 as Jack now going slightly wide. The Alpine driver, him and Blazer are the only 2 cars to stay out on the wet compound of tyre, but the track is drying, so there'll be less grip on those tyres. So Jack is struggling here on lap 12. As Jack now has a bit of a wobble and has span, and Lungner and AJP get the overtakes done, as well as LJ. And Jack now falls down into P11, and that's Blazer coming around the corner and making contact, and Agile almost gets taken out. Jack gets a 5-second time penalty, which he completely deserves, and that's going to see Jack out of this race. Harry Sanchez then, in P4, finds himself just behind Gerald Crisp in P3. Can he find a way to gain on Gerald Crisp and get another podium here in Season 3? AJP then is in P9, as Lugner just ahead of him in P8, as Evan gets the fastest lap of this race, a 1:28.3 on the intermediate compound of tyres. You can see LJ in P10 in the distance, as AJP, who does have a 6-second time penalty, is gaining significantly then on Lugner. AJP then says one down the inside of Lugner and gets the move done up into P8. Thank you very much, says AJP, as Lugner goes down into P9, and the McLaren driver gets the move done. Ever since he's been on those intermediate tyres, he's been absolutely rapid here on lap 14, and he's up into 8th. Evan then, currently second in this race, finds himself 2.2 seconds behind the leader, Levi. If he wants to win this race, he's got to somehow dig deep and get 2.2 seconds within the next 2 laps to try and stop Levi from winning another race here in Season 3, here in Spain. As Levi does get the fastest lap, and Evan now steals the fastest lap, a 1:27.6 here on lap 16. AJP is in 8th, Lugner is in 9th, and he has LJ just behind him. LJ hasn't really been involved much in this race at all today, but he is in the points as it stands, and he is gaining on Lugner. 0.7 seconds divide the 2 drivers. LJ then is still gaining on Lugner. 0.5 seconds separate the 2 drivers now. Now 0.4. The AlphaTauri driver is gaining and gaining and gaining. He might think about sending one down the inside here on the last lap of this race. Lugner in P9, LJ in P10, but LJ is going to fight for the whole remainder of the lap. As you can see, there's a yellow flag, and that is AJP, and AJP has had an incident, and Levi comes round the final few corners. The Alpine driver has done excellent today. He crosses the line and wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Evan comes home in second and snatches the fastest lap of the race, a 1:27.2. GRL Crisp finishes in 3rd. Harry Sanchez comes home in 4th. Ollie comes home in P5. And Totally JD finishes in P6. Had a good race today, the Williams driver. Sizzling H comes home in 7th. Lugner comes home in 8th. LJ in 9th. AJP finishes in 10th, but has a 6-second time penalty. And Blazer finishes in 11th. And Agile in 12th, with Jack and Dom both retiring from this race here in Spain. Levi wins the LGN Spanish Grand Prix and gets his 6th win of Season 3 so far. Evan gave him a good battle today, the Red Bull driver, as he comes home in 2nd. And GRL Crisp, the Alfa Romeo driver, comes home in 3rd. As the drivers celebrate their podium and lift their trophies, we get ready for the next race around Monaco next week. But first, let's have a look at the Drivers and Constructors League standings. Here are the Drivers League standings after today's race in Spain. Levi is in 1st, 134 points. Evan is in 2nd. GRL Crisp goes up into 3rd. AJP goes down into 4th. Ollie goes up into 5th. And Dom goes down into 6th. Harry Sanchez is in 7th. Sizzling H goes up into 8th. Lugner goes down into 9th. LJ's in 10th. Totally JD is in 11th. JC is in 12th. Blazer is in 13th. Agile is in 14th. Jack is in 15th. Entire YOLO is in 16th, and Active Buffalo is in 17th. And here are the Constructors' League standings after today's race. Alpine are in first on 137 points. Red Bull are in second. Alfa Romeo go up into third, and McLaren go down into fourth. Mercedes are in fifth. Williams go up into sixth. AlphaTauri go down into seventh. Ferrari are in 8th, and Haas are in 9th. Thank you for watching today's video. We will see you soon around the next race in Monaco.